Hello and welcome to another episode of An Interview With. I'm Brent McCall with Metra Home Theater Group, and today I have with me Patrick Siebert from JVC CI.
Thank you very much for having us.
Well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you coming in, and I see you brought me gifts. So before we get into this, because actually the pre-conversation was quite intriguing on this, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got here.
Well, I was in car audio in Orlando, Florida for a very, very long time. I worked at a place called Ultimate Auto. And also as a side gig, I have a YouTube channel where I do board games. One of the marketing director actually from JVC contacted me after seeing my channel and finding out that I was in 12 volt and asked me to come work for JVC.
And here you are. This has been 3 years, I think, since I met you?
It's been 3 years, yeah. 3 wonderful years at JVC.
Well, a lot of changes have happened in the 3 years since I first met you in Indianapolis. I see this is your brand new DILA piece, and I don't know the part number, but tell me a little bit about it.
So this is JVC's NX7 projector. This is in the middle of the lineup. It's actually the projector we're selling the most of right now. This projector runs around $9,000.
Retail?
Retail.
Okay.
It is a native 4K projector this year.
Ooh, big jump up.
Yep, big jump up for us with 80,000 to 1 native contrast ratio and 1900 lumens.
Okay, now you and I were discussing this briefly before. In a properly calibrated theater, obviously 1900 lumens is kind of like staring into these lights here. What do you anticipate to get the best picture? 850, somewhere in that range, typically on a good screen?
Well, I mean,
and I realize that number sounds low, but in a proper theater, that's a lot of light.
It is a lot of light. And as long as at the screen you're being able to hit 40 nits or so, you can get HDR quality color. But there's a minimum amount of nits you want to get at the screen, and that's really what's pivotal, is that you've got to get that amount of light at the screen as opposed to all the other environmental factors. So it's great that the projector has 5,000 lumens, but if you can't get those 5,000 lumens on the screen, and there's things that can affect that too.
Yeah,
right?
and on that note, plastic or glass on the lens?
All glass lenses something on JVC projectors for the DILA lineup.
That's awesome, because that certainly helps. You don't have to worry about the discolorization or the fogginess that comes with plastic over time.
Absolutely, and you can also keep your quality control a little bit tighter on glass as well.
Full lens shift up and down, horizontal, mechanical,
Yep.
or is it electronic?
Oh no, full electronic and mechanical lens shift.
Fantastic. Now, I have an older one, and my panel's slightly different. So as I'm looking at this here, you guys have added USB for the first time.
We have, right? That's great. You connected your updates with USB.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's nice. Do you know if it's a 1 amp USB port or is it 250 milliamps?
It is 1 amp.
Awesome. That means we can actually run repeaters on it.
Yep, absolutely.
That's fantastic. We've also got a trigger for the screen, it looks like.
12 volt trigger.
And IP control.
Yep, absolutely.
And serial still for the old school guys.
RC32, absolutely.
Are both of the inputs fully HDCP 2.0 or 2.2 and HDMI 2.0 compliant?
Yes, they are. Both the inputs are for this projector.
That's fantastic.
And that's not the same on the LX series projectors. On our LX series projectors.
No, okay. Before you go, what is the LX series projectors?
Is a lower end series of projectors. They only have one 2.0 spec.
Is that the new DLP unit that you have coming out?
We have two. We have a DLP unit that we've had out for a little while. That's the LXUH1, and then now we're introducing the NZ3 projector. That's going to be a 3,000 lumen laser projector.
For the consumer market?
Yep,
This
absolutely.
is not commercial?
Yep, for the $3,700 price tag.
Good color, good HDR capabilities for laser?
You know, I'm a DLA guy, right? And I want that contrast, and I want that color gamut. And I was a little nervous that we're going to introduce a projector at a $4,000 price point, or $3,700 price point. That wasn't going to be
retail.
Up to, yeah, retail. That wasn't going to be up to a JVC standard. But when I saw it at CEDIA with you, it looked absolutely fantastic. The colors are amazing on it.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, it's still not DLA because without that LCOS chip, you're not going to get that lushness.
Right. You're not going to get the same amazing contrast ratio, which all that contrast stemmed down from the industrial side for JVC. We build a lot of flight simulator projectors, and we need that contrast for government contracts.
So this is the 7?
This is the NX7, correct.
Now, there's a 5 model also?
The NX5 is a step down from that.
What changes?
When you step down from that, it's a different chip grade selection, so your contrast goes down a little bit, but you also lose the HDR, the color filter in it. So you lose a little bit of the color gamut
It's still HDR,
as well.
but it's not as good of HDR?
Yeah, it doesn't hit the same Rec 709 color gamut.
Okay, so this is a full 709 piece.
Yep, absolutely.
That's fantastic. I do notice, I'm going to flip this over, is that okay?
Sure.
I will be reasonably careful as far as you know. It uses the same mounting process as the previous JVC projectors, which is nice because it spreads the weight out on the mount. Some of them really tight in the middle, which can make it a little
Yeah, any
wobbly on the
mounts,
mount.
any mounts from the last 2 generations will still fit.
Fantastic. I'm going to flip it over. Also, the biggest change I see, because I have a previous generation projector at home, is the layout. In mine, it's straight up the middle. I do notice also that this one should be a little bit quieter than mine.
It is. We have a much larger heatsink because people complained that yours was too loud. They went over to your house and they're like, "What's up? It's so loud in here." Trade-off is obviously we reduce the fan speed. We have to have a lot more area to dissipate the
Right,
heat.
so it is a larger chassis.
It's a little bit larger chassis, about 1 inch in every direction and 2 inches in length.
And a good sized lens. That is not a small lens like a lot of the projectors out there.
65 millimeter lens on this one, and then on the NX9, it's a 100 millimeter all glass lens assembly.
So what do you get over from the 9 that you don't get with this, other than a much larger lens, which will give you a larger screen capability and crisper picture, in my opinion?
It does, absolutely, but it also gives you more efficiency. That all hand-ground lens assembly is going to give you 2200 lumens using the same light engine.
Wow.
So you're going up in light just off the efficiency of the lens, number one. And number two, 8K E-shift. So this projector is going to take a 4K signal and give you 8K E-shift.
So if you're breaking 110 inches on screen size, it could become important quickly.
Yeah, I would say even 140, 150, it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Now, we talked about this briefly going in. The feature sets in this versus the previous models, this is a full 4K.
Yep, absolutely.
Color's better, HDR is better.
Absolutely.
HDCP 2.2.
Yep. But that was common in the 790,
yes.
990 as well.
But we have seen some, not so much with you guys, I have seen some compatibility problems with other projectors. You guys have been super reliable for tech calls. I don't get a lot of tech calls involving JVC projectors.
And thanks to you, neither do we.
Well,
But
thank you.
There are other companies out there that we still definitely get tech calls from. Absolutely.
Happy to hear that. Is there anything else I should ask you, Patrick?
I don't think so. You've been such a great host. I think you covered everything for me.
Well, you bought lunch, I have to be.
Well,
Thank you. Patrick, thank you for coming in.
no problem. Thank you.
Another episode of An Interview With. Stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you.